Welcome to Ecom Talk. Today we have Mina Elias. It's an Amazon expert and founder of Trivium Group, a full-service Amazon growth partner helping brands scale profitably, generating over 700,000 annually on Amazon. He specializes in scaling brands and optimize performance on platform. Welcome, Mina. How are you?
Good, good. Just one correction: 700 million, not 700,000.
Oh, I got 700K here. I don't know.
No, no, no.
That was my VA mistakes or what
Definitely,
happened there?
definitely.
All
Yeah,
right,
it's
let me
all good. It's
correct
all
that.
good. Yeah,
It's
you're
a
fine. You're fine.
it's a huge difference, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure.
All right, 700 million. So the topic that we're going to be talking today is how to sell supplements online on Amazon mostly. Again, it's very complicated categories. I would really like your knowledge about it. But before we dive into the topic, tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so my background, I came to America in 2011. I was born in Egypt, grew up in Dubai my whole life, and then came to America for college. So got my bachelor's, master's. Bachelor's was chemical engineering and chemistry, master's industrial engineering. Worked up the corporate ladder. I worked in companies like Medtronic. I worked in a company where we built the heating and cooling ceilings for companies like Nike's headquarters, stuff like that. So I did a lot of engineering stuff, hated it. I was really good at what I did. At every job that I did, I was always a top performer. But, I felt like a caged animal. I didn't know that what entrepreneurship was. And so I always had this feeling like I wanted more. I was unsatisfied. And eventually I realized, it was because I was meant to be an entrepreneur. And so in 2018, I decided to start a supplement brand, electrolytes powder. So I'm an MMA fighter. Back then I was fighting, like training very hard, 3 hours a day. I was on keto. I was losing a lot of electrolytes in my sweat. And so I would notice on the days that I would have very high sodium foods or broth or something, the next day I would feel incredible, especially in training. And so I realized that I'm losing too much electrolytes, especially sodium. So I went and looked for a high sodium electrolyte on the market. There was nothing, and all the electrolytes had sugar. So I decided to create my own. So I created a high sodium, high potassium, high magnesium, zero sugar electrolyte. And people don't know, but you can absorb electrolytes with amino acids just as well as you can with sugar. So it was always thought like you needed sugar to absorb electrolytes at a cellular level in the body, but you can actually use amino acids. And so I put taurine, which is a performance enhancer, and created my first supplement. Didn't know anything about e-commerce, tried to sell it at the gym, tried to sell it at stores, didn't work out. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I buy all of my supplements on Amazon. I have to get my product on Amazon. And I was actually at an event, an MMA event, when I did my soft launch, and I launched 40 units. I sold 25 of them at that event, and people kept asking where can I buy it. So I said Amazon. That was my path into Amazon. So I got the brand on Amazon November of 2018. By April 2019, it was doing 20K a month in revenue, 4K a month in profit, and I got fired from my job. Decided to go all in on that brand. So packed my shit, went to Egypt. Stayed there for 4 months so I could have no expenses, at my family's house. And I reinvested everything back into the business. And by like December 2019, I was doing about 10K a month in profits, moved to Los Angeles, and then COVID hit. So while COVID was hitting, I decided to do podcasts like this and share everything I knew about supplements. And at the time I had launched, so MMA Nutrition was doing about 94K a month in revenue. I had launched another brand that a month later, Lapura, and a few months in, it started doing 50K a month in revenue. I built that one, sold it, and then started doing these podcasts every week. Everyone knew who I was. And then people this aggregator hit me up and they're like, hey, can you train our in-house team? I said, sure, I'll charge you this much to train them. They're like, can you run one of our brands to prove that you know what you're doing? So I ran one of their brands for 4 months. And after 4 months, they showed me that I outperformed all the agencies they have on like right now on retainer. And I'm like, what am I doing? I should start an agency. Like I already, every day people ask me, can you run my brand? Can you run my brand? I say no, because I don't have an agency. I just have a brand. And so I started my agency, and then we quickly grew from 1 employee to 90 employees, maybe 95 employees now, 210 brands under management approximately. We won 170 fastest growing company in America, the fastest growing agency. We won the Clutch Awards for Best Amazon Advertising Agency. So we just had like a lot of success because I was built on the proper foundations of owning and running a brand the way that brand owners run brands. Very like lean, profitable, always looking for improvements. I don't care about like shiny reports. I care more about results and how can I take the data, make it tell a story, communicate it effectively, and take some action. And so that's where I am today, right? We manage about 700 million or so in revenue on Amazon.
Wow, I have so many questions here. So you said you start your agency. What year you start your agency? In
2021.
2021. Okay. And from that point you start basically getting more and more different brands in the same category, right? In the
Yeah.
supplements category.
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing supplements. Most people were like, "Oh my God, you're in supplements. That's crazy." To me, I was like, I mean, that's the only thing I knew. I knew supplements. I started one supplement brand, another supplement brand. I thought that was how Amazon was, but apparently, like supplements is a lot harder than other products, other categories on Amazon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been selling supplements since 2014. Okay,
Wow,
and
the good days.
yeah, I started on Shopify and then I transitioned to Amazon, and I was doing nutraceuticals, and then I transitioned to sport nutritions as well, right? But then it started getting harder and harder and harder. So I would like your opinion on all those new challenges that Amazon been implementing, new policies, and how you overcome those. Okay, because they hit few brands pretty hard, on all those changes. So I would like to know your opinion about that.
Yeah, so my opinion is Amazon's doing the right thing, right? This is what I hate about most people is when something is like messed up and you're taking advantage, and then they fix it, right? And like if you look from the outside, like if you bring some guy from another industry, the medical industry, the construction industry, and you say, hey, this is the criteria that Amazon's putting, they're going to be like, oh, that's reasonable. What they're doing is they're protecting the consumer, right?
Right.
Because guess what, guys? When Amazon doesn't have this shit, when you go buy products on Amazon, you buy supplement gummies on Amazon. I knew during COVID people that were buying sugar gummies, like gummy bears, and saying that it was elderberry gummies, and forging everything and selling on Amazon and making millions. And it was all a lie. And you would never be able to catch them unless you were able to buy enough bottles, test them, show that they didn't have this stuff. But guess what? All of these companies were basically shell companies. So it was like a company and then a shell company. And if you wanted to sue that company, they filed for bankruptcy. They've already siphoned millions of dollars into offshore accounts. So what Amazon is doing is protecting you. So when someone has any issues with Amazon's compliance, I understand that they're annoying. Like, even during my wedding, they said, hey, we need your CGMP certification. And they gave me 1 day. And it was the day, I was my wedding. So I texted my employee, I'm like, please get that for me. My manufacturer didn't respond in time, and they shut down my listings. And then I got it back up in like 4 or 5 days. It hurt my revenue, but it was like, okay, that's when Amazon can be annoying. But in general, when it comes to the policies, they're heading in the right direction, especially for supplements. Like, you want this type of regulation, and it makes it easier for you, the legitimate brand owner. If you're a legit brand owner, you have COAs from the right labs, you have CGMPs, you have all the your certificates, Eurofins, all this stuff. It's not hard to get, you just need to
Yeah.
follow the process. Once you have it, you're good. Everyone else who's like a Mickey Mouse company, they're getting hit, they're getting taken down, and you're like, good, we want only legitimate brands.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you in the sense of implementing correct policies for the consumer to get the best product possible. Totally agree with you. It's just sometimes Amazon, the way they implement things, or
Terrible.
from
Yeah.
one day to another, or they just sometimes just block the list and then they try to reinstate it, asking you some documents. So that's or even suspend your account for some
Yeah.
random reason, and then you have to figure out how to fix that. That's the issue I think that Amazon should be working on, which I'm sure they are. It's just when you are so big, anything that you want to change takes forever. Right.
Ages. Yeah,
Right.
I know, because I get invited by Amazon pretty frequently to their headquarters. We talk about some stuff, And, I've been voicing my opinion about basic things for years, but it's so bad because when they're so big in the same department, this one person doesn't even know who this other person is. So
Right.
you can imagine, like, you're like, hey, this thing is broken. Takes ages for them to fix it. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what I mean? You're going to take the good with the bad. Like Amazon's, I think you would agree, right? Probably one of the easiest, best places to build a brand. It's a lot easier than direct to consumer. Like if you have to build a brand on Meta, you need, creative strategy, you need a ton of content, you need CRO, you need like media buying, then you need email SMS to get like lifetime value. It's a lot of different things. Amazon, you get the product up on Amazon, you build a very nice listing, good SEO, good creatives, and then you just run ads, you subscribe and save, turn it on, and you will get there. Like you'll eventually get there if you have a good product. So you take the good with the bad. You know what I mean?
Right. So let's dive into the process of basically positioning the brand on Amazon, right? The supplement brand. What your first steps? Let's say you're gonna start working with the brand. They're brand new. Maybe they have some demand outside the Amazon. Maybe they're not. What would be your normal procedure and step-by-step process with them?
Yeah. This is actually something we do a lot. We do pretty frequently. It's called a market analysis. Now, I'm very familiar because I just launched a beef tallow brand, 6 months ago. It was a beef tallow face and skin moisturizer. So the first thing that we do is we say, you need to be creating a solution to a problem that's better than everyone else's solution and validating the demand. So we need these two things. So number one, they come to me, they say, I have a product, right? And I'm like, okay, amazing. Give me the keyword. I type in the keyword. I look at the competitors. I'm like, these are your competitors? They're like, yes. I'm like, tell me why your product is better than everyone else. And they need to have a very what I call superior product market fit, which means you look at the market. I'm a shopper. I'm looking to buy electrolytes powder, right? I'm not finding anything sugar-free. I'm not finding anything without artificial sweeteners. So when you create one that's sugar-free, no artificial sweeteners, maybe at a better price point, okay, now you have product market fit. I always leave price point at the end because there could be always someone who comes in, undercuts you on pricing, so it's not a winning strategy. But if you create a superior solution, which means sugar-free, okay, now you have something. And then the more complex your solution is, and the bigger of a moat that you have, the more protected you are. Because again, Alex, you could launch a sugar-free electrolyte powder. I'm Mina, the expert supplement brand builder, whatever. I see it, I'm like, amazing, I like this, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna add creatine, 5 grams of creatine. And then you just lost your edge, And by the way, you're not gonna lose your edge to one competitor, but you're gonna lose your edge over the course. So just to let you know, I've lost my edge over the course of years, since 2018 till now, because now there's a lot of sugar-free electrolytes, there's a lot of unflavored electrolytes. So when I used to be the only one, now there's a lot of competition. So now I'm always looking, okay, how can I be more superior? So the best way, how do we, okay, I said you need to be superior. How do you do that in a systematic way, like actionable? Best thing, you need a focus group, and you need to look at the Amazon reviews. So we start with the Amazon reviews. I use Jungle Scout. I pull the top 15, 20 competitors. I have my team extract AI review analysis of every single one, and I see what are their unique selling points, what are their positives, what are their negatives. And then I create this large, here's all of the unique selling points, here's everything that everyone likes about these electrolytes, here's everything that everyone hates about these electrolytes. Now I have something to play with. And then I try to come up with, based on my understanding of the ICP, like the ideal shopper. And by the way, if you're not the ideal shopper, like if I'm doing something for women, I need the ideal shopper. So I will never do something where it's not me or my wife. That's the ideal client, because I just don't understand it enough. I'm not a parent. I don't want to keep talking to parents to figure out a parent thing. When I become a parent, I can create something for parents. When I become a pet owner, I'll create something for pets. You know what I mean? So when you don't have the ICP, you need to have a focus group. Focus group is basically you get 20 people or so that are the consumer, and this is where you start asking them questions. Why would you choose an electrolyte powder? What makes it better? What makes it worse? What bad experiences have you had? What good experiences? So now you start to understand, why are you using electrolytes? Well, I want hydration. Okay, so your number one thing is hydration. I also want good flavor. Okay, so what else? What else? And then you start to understand the shopping psychology, and then you formulate your solution. You're like, okay, I'm going to create a sugar-free electrolyte powder that has a high sodium for those, people who are athletes that are sweating a lot that need the sodium, at a good price point. And then you validate the demand. So, before going too crazy, what's the search volume for electrolytes? Someone, by the way, very recently, I own a med spa. Our medical director's cousin is like, Mina, I'm gonna launch a brand. I'm like, amazing. What is it? He's like, energy strips. It's a the Listerine strips for the breath. It's like that, but it's a pre-workout. So you put it. There's I think 100 milligrams of caffeine, etc., etc. So he said, what do you think? I said, let me do a market analysis. I did a market analysis. The average volume of the market is only like $50,000 a month in revenue. And the total search volume is like maybe 25, 30,000 searches. To give you context, electrolyte powder, just the keyword electrolytes powder is like 250,000 searches a month. So I told him there's not enough demand. Like, this is a great product. You have a unique solution.
Too early.
You're too early
in the market.
Yeah. You need someone who's going to spend like $1 million a month on Meta to create awareness. Everyone starts to see, oh, this is a cool solution. Now they're looking for it on Amazon. Now there's demand, and then you launch.
Right.
So that's what we do when we do the market analysis.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, and that's could be implemented in any category. We're just talking about the supplements, but that can be done in any category that you choose, as far as like understanding the competition, having the focus group. But you talked about basically creating a product, right, for the market. But you're working with over 200 different brands. A lot of times they already come with the products, existing products, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say they're already selling on Amazon and they want to start working with you, right? What is your approach with them as far as like, do you optimize their brand itself? Do you remove sellers if they're sellers? I mean, what is your steps working with those type of brands? Okay, so I'll talk about what I talked about in a second. But the general strategy is this. Amazon is a funnel, right? Very simple funnel. At the top, there's impressions, people seeing you. Then a certain number of those people that see you in the search results will click on you. That's based on click-through rate. There's 7 factors that affect it. The main ones are the main image, price, and reviews, right? Reviews and star rating. And then once they're in your listing, a certain percentage of these people convert, and that's your conversion rate. It's dependent on your listing images, your price and reviews, your brand story, premium A+ content, and videos on the listing. Those are the biggest factors that affect it. And then at the bottom, once they purchase you, lifetime value. So mainly subscribe and save, right? For like supplements. So when I take over a brand, we look and we say, okay, we want to improve every single segment of the funnel. Now at the top, I said impressions. By the way, if you think of Amazon as one massive funnel, it's made of 1,000 small funnels. And each funnel starts at a keyword search. So when I type in electrolytes, that's one funnel. When I type in electrolytes powder, another funnel, and so on and so forth. So, but you can try to blend them together as much as you can. Now, before we even get into like the optimizing more people seeing you, more people click on you, first we say, okay, is your product superior? If the answer is yes, I'm like, okay, cool. Why is it superior? Let me open the listing and take a quick look at it. Is that communicated well? Someone that came to me, they have like an air fryer. I'm like, why is your air fryer superior? He's like, well, one of the reasons is it's so easy to clean. I'm like, that's actually a very good reason. Like imagine if your cooker is like it's very hard to clean. This one is super easy to clean. I'm like, I look at the listing, I'm like, I can't find it. He's like, no, go back. He's like, here. And it's the small writing, it says easier to clean. I'm like, this is one of your main selling points. People don't know about it. So if your product is superior, we really need to make sure that first of all, it's not superior according to you, it's superior according to the market. And then we really showcase that well. And if it's not superior, then you need to start working on making it superior. So I'm like, hey, here's the market research. Go make it superior. Start working with your manufacturing. Hire an R&D like research and development strategist or something, and work with the manufacturer to make your product better. Now, how do we get more people to see us? Very simply, increasing your rank. You can increase your sponsored rank, organic rank. Sponsored rank you can influence easily, right? You take a keyword, if it's not launched in a campaign, you launch it in a campaign. So what I do in the beginning
is I take like the top 20 competitors, do a reverse ASIN lookup. Now I have all of the search terms possible that I could be ranking for. And I benchmark where I'm at. So I look, okay, where am I? Organic and sponsored rank across all these search terms. Then I add the search query performance report, which tells me, my impression share and purchase share for each of those keywords. So when I see that I'm ranked low and I have a good conversion rate on that keyword in the search query performance report, I say this is an opportunity. And if I am targeting that keyword in a campaign, then I increase the bids, increase the budget as well. If I'm not targeting that keyword in the campaign, then I create a campaign, one for broad, one for phrase, one for exact, start targeting that keyword, just so I can increase the rank, increase my impression share. Assuming everything stays the same, I should get more conversions. So that's how I get more people to see me. PPC, but also DSP. I'm not going to get too much into DSP. PPC will do a good amount of the work. Now, the next step is like, okay, how do I get more of those people to convert, to click on me? I'm not going to touch the price yet. Reviews is self-explanatory. The more your reviews, the better click-through rate. So the biggest lever I can actually control is going to be my main image. I look at the main image and I say, if I put my main image next to my competitors, do I very clearly catch their eye? There's eye candy. It's a better looking, more 3D, product. So first of all, again, I'm glancing, I catch it, it catches my eye. And then when I look at it just from the main image, the unique selling points are there. So I'll give you an example with Wonder Fat. Wonder Fat, the biggest things they mentioned, people hate the fatty smell. People care if it's dermatologist approved or not. People care if it's good for the face, or for sensitive skin. So, I made the label. I made the product with the honey and the mango, like very sexy in the back. The top looks very nice and whipped. I said whipped tallow balm because people really want whipped. Because when it's not that whipped, it's very greasy. When it's whipped, it's very nice finish. So, and I put big USA flag, grass-fed, dermatologist approved, CGMP facility, and then I said no fatty smell. So as soon as you look at that, right, just from the main image, you're like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So that's what we do in the main image. Price, I'm not going to comment on price too much, except we test it. We increase price, decrease price. It's going to affect click-through rate, but it's also going to affect your profit per unit. So maybe you increase the price, your click-through rate goes down a little bit, but your total dollar amount in profit goes up, or you decrease the price, your click-through rate goes up, and because you're selling overall more units, your total profit goes up. So split test the price and look at what your total profit is, dollar amount. That should be your main metric. Then we go into the listing. Well, what's up? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions. Just the part that I just don't want to lose this part that we're talking about, the ads and the pricing. So what would be the ideal, in your opinion, in a supplement words? I imagine it depends on the product, but more or less the average, the margins, the healthy margins that the brand should have. Okay.
This is what I suggest that you do. Assume a 15 to 20% of your revenue will go towards ads, or of your margin, total margin, or total, will go towards ads at maturity, just to be safe, right?
So out of the revenue. So let's say you sell $100,000, $15,000 to $20,000 should go to
the revenue,
to the ads.
So you start to do it like this. You have a $30 product, right? You say whatever the cost of goods is. Let's say the cost of goods is 25%. So you're left with 75%. Then you say that Amazon fulfillment and all this stuff is going to take another 33%. So that drops it down from 75 to 43%. Then you say 20% is going to go towards ads. So now you're left at 23%. So sale price minus cost of goods sold minus Amazon fees minus ads, assume 20%, you're left with 23%. Are you happy with 23% as a dollar amount? So if you're selling a $14 product, that's like $3.50. Not that good. If you're selling a $37 product, that's pretty good. You're like talking like $9 per unit after ads. So that's how I would judge it, right? And that's how I would kind of vibe it. Now, I could spend 25% on the ads, right? And go from selling 3,000 units a month to 4,500 units a month. Yes, my margin is going to go down by 5%, but my total units sold is going to increase by 1.5 times. So my total dollar amount in profit is higher. And that is the main number I think people should be optimizing for, not a percentage, because you know this. When our companies was small, $1 million a year, we had like a nice 32% for 35% margin. When it became 8 million a year, it went down to 15-20% margin. Especially with e-commerce, it's like kind of usually works like that. If you can maintain your margins, that's phenomenal. And this is a whole other conversation. Like there is a very specific set of things that you could do as you grow to start winning back some of your margins, because you might spend more money, because you're growing, but at the same time you're like, okay, I'm gonna renegotiate with my manufacturer. I'm gonna, order like my cost of goods used to be $5.50 when I would order 1,000 units at a time. When I ordered 20,000 units, it went down to $3.80. So that's a big margin improvement. As a dollar amount, it's nothing crazy. It's like $1 or something. But when you do this across every part of your business, you could save $1 here, dollar here, dollar here, dollar. You add $4 or $5 per unit. So it brings your margin, from 13% maybe up to 20% again. So that's the way that you should think about margin.
Got it. Well, very clear. So basically, more or less at 20%. As long as you can maintain at 20%, that's a healthy margin for supplements, right?
I would say no. I would say again, assume 20% on the ads, and when you look at your margin at the end, as long as you're happy with the dollar amount, because a 20% margin on a $14 product is not good. A $20 margin on a $39 product is fine. Like it's $10 in profit per unit. That's pretty good. So at least for me, you know what I mean? Obviously, if I can get $15-20 profit per unit, so it's hard to say what you're going to accept, what I'm going to accept. I'm just saying this is what you should assume for the percentages, and then look at the dollar amount and make sure, hey, at $100,000 a month in revenue, I'm making 20,000 in profit. Okay, I'm happy with that. Or I'm making only at 100,000 in revenue, I'm only making $3,000 in profit. Okay, that's not that good. So it fully depends on what you're going to be happy with as a dollar per unit.
Right. And also, I assume it depends on the product, right? Because I remember when I had my own brand, our worst margins were always on the protein, right? The protein were very slim margins. Do you work with proteins, or you mostly work with other type of products, or you work with all of them? I mean, the whole line usually.
I mean, we have everything. We have the protein that I know off the top of my head. I think we have a few, but the one that I know and I use every day is the Labrada Pro Series. Labrada Lean Body. They have the shakes in all the gyms. They launched the Pro Series. So Lee Labrada is the owner. His son Hunter Labrada created the Pro Series. He won number 5, Mr. Olympia, and he created like the most superior whey isolate on the market. That one, I could tell you, it's doing reasonable. Now, the why you mentioned this is because it's very hard to have a differentiating factor in protein nowadays to make you able to maintain margin. Because when this guy sells for 50, this guy sells for 50, and the cost is the cost, everyone's getting the cost similar, you really can't charge more unless you have something significantly better. And it's hard to do that in protein nowadays. So that's what makes protein unattractive. But when it comes to you create a new probiotic or a new, like there's one I have that's parasite cleanser. There's vaginal probiotics. There's obviously a slew of things. There's gummies. There's so many different things where they're still unique enough that you can come up with your own unique formula and charge a little bit more. Versus protein, you have 25 people with 50,000 reviews plus that are all selling at the same price point. It's kind of becoming like a commodity.
Right. And also very hard to compete with big brands, right? ISO 100, Optimal Nutrition, and those brands been forever, and they have positioned themselves very, very heavily on Amazon itself, right? They also have unlimited budgets. So I would like your opinion about also competing against those brands, because they have unlimited budget for marketing expense. So what would be your way of competing with them as far as the keywords and the position in the products?
You have to have an angle. So think about it like this: like you're a guy and you're finding a giant, right? you're gonna lose. But if you have a gun, you're gonna win, right? And so what is that angle that you have? So let's say it's you know, let's say it's pre-workout, right? Pre-workout, you're gonna lose against C4 and Ghost and all these big ones. But what if you're the only pre-workout on the market that has paraxanthine in it? You know what I mean? Which is a superior form of caffeine. Now you have a gun. You have some sort of advantage where when someone looks at you, looks at your price, looks at your reviews, compares you to Ghost and these other ones, is willing to overlook how many reviews they have because you have an edge that they don't, right? Let me give you a much better example. This nose strip that I'm wearing is an intake breathing nose strip, okay? They were our client, scaled from 0 to 4 million a month in the course of 12 months. Incredible. Now, there's a lot of cheaper, much more review nose strips on the market. They're winning. Why are they winning? Because their technology is superior by a mile to anyone else. They use magnets. They open the nose mechanically. So any nose strip that I use that's just like a regular strip and opens your nose, it's not as strong as even I got a plastic one. So it's a plastic one. You stick it on and it still opens. It's magnetic. So it's like really mechanically opening your nose. And no matter how hard I sniff, my nose doesn't close, which really increases my oxygen intake. So I'm willing to pay way more, and I pay way more for that intake breathing than anyone else. I don't even care about the number of reviews because it's a far superior product. And they also have, like, I think 12 patents, 2 or 3 being the main ones of this technology, and no one can touch them.
Got it. So basically what you're saying is if you want to enter into this supplement industry, you better have something really outstanding and different from just main products, right?
Correct. And if you're existing selling, come up with that. Like, it's not too late. Like, so many people come to me, they're like, oh, we used to do amazing, now we're not. I'm like, yeah, 3 years ago you were the only one. Now there's 25 of you and they have more reviews than you. So innovate.
Yeah, that's the key. Let me ask you a little bit more personal question so we can close on this. Building something that generates over 700 million annually doesn't happen overnight. What did you have to become internally to reach that level?
Yeah, very good question. I would say number one, you have to have extremely high standards for yourself, extremely high. And I'm very unsatisfied with any small thing that I see wrong, right? Like, and I really see a lot of people that when you look at them, you're like, oh, the reason that your business sucks, you're out of shape, all this stuff is because you actually have low standards for yourself. You know what I mean? And so first you need to have these extremely high standards, because to get to that point of like operating, you need to be always scrutinizing every small thing, being open about it and saying, I'm not good at this thing, I'm not good enough, and I need to get better. And then you really need to have a mastery of every part of the business. So for me, I needed to master recruiting and bringing on A-player talent. I needed to master training that talent. I needed to master, obviously, Amazon at a deep level, be able to break down the management of an Amazon brand into all these concepts, create a system, and be able to take my brain and download it into my employee, my account manager's brains, so they can operate at the same level that I would operate if it was me managing the brand. Then you needed to master like sales and marketing, right? Obviously, to get to the size, I needed to get a lot of clients. So I needed to understand, okay, how do I sell people? And obviously, I have no problem selling, because I know that the product, the agency, the solution that I'm giving you by managing your brand is superior to every other agency out there. I've looked at every single one, and there are some people who were better than me in 1 or 2 things. I immediately took that, went to the team, and I said, we have to beat them. And that's part of the having, the very high standards for myself, is like, I can never accept, no matter what, this guy has more money than me, this guy is whatever. I can't accept it. I can't accept to be less than someone if I have the ability to, get better. And so always kind of taking that and getting better. So now I can easily sell and say, if you pay me $5,000 a month, I guarantee, we're going to work so hard. We're going to make you $50,000, $100,000 a month more. This should be a no-brainer for you. And then obviously I had to master marketing, and being able to go on YouTube, make these very valuable videos, run ads, do all this stuff to attract, the type of clients that we want to work with so they can come work for us. So you really, wherever you are, this is the thing that I always tell myself. The reason that I'm where I am right now in my life and in my business is because of me and my skills. If I was 10 times better at marketing, 10 times better at sales, 10 times better at recruiting, I would be making 10 times more profit. You know what I mean? And so that's the only thing that's stopping me. And how do I get there? With marketing, with sales, with finance, recruiting, it's very simple. I benchmark where I am, and I write down where I want to be. So I'm like, okay, where I am right now with ads, I don't know how to run ads. I don't know how to write scripts. I don't know what type of content works. I don't know how to optimize a landing page. And where do I want to be? I want to be a master script writer. I want to know exactly how to identify winning creatives and all this stuff, right? And then I go and I find the top people that I can get my hands on who are masters at this. There's obviously always someone that, like, I'm a master at Amazon. There's an operations. There's someone that's going to be master at sales, master at marketing. And then I either, work with them, hire them, something, some of them are coaches and consultants. Some of them are in mastermind. So I go into a mastermind. I find these guys. I just ask them questions all the time. And I'm like, this is where I am. This is where I want to be. Can we please build a plan together to get me there? And it's just, this feedback loop of like, okay, it's a bite-sized thing. I go, I apply it, I get some learnings, I get some feedback, and so on and so forth. And that's essentially what you need to become to get to that level.
Interesting. Mina Elias, thank you very much for all your knowledge, all your energy, and everything you provided. If someone want to find you and they want to contact you for your service, what would be the best way to find you?
Yeah, so our website is called triviumco.com, triviumco.com, Trivium Group. And then, or find me on Instagram at the Mina Elias. That's where I'm most active. But yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram. Go to the website. You can, contact us or get a free audit. We'll do a free analysis on your account. We're happy to help,
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.